Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Happy PERS Day. Thank you for everyone that said something to that effect in the comments. It's really funny and really makes me smile. So from now on, I maybe just will start my videos with Happy PERS Day. And I hope you guys are having a happy PERS Day. Today we're going to get into some more food reviews. You guys have sent me so many requests, and so I am working through them. I email the companies. Sometimes they get back to me quickly, sometimes they don't get back to me so quickly, and so it all depends on how responsive they are, and that's how I work through them. My name is Dr. Ray. For those of you that are new here, a bit of housekeeping. I am a small animal general practitioner. I do this channel for fun, to help you guys out, answer your questions. Not sponsored, don't get paid to do it, totally do it just to hang out with you guys. And so I hope you enjoy everything that we're going to go through today. This is not in-depth review. This is not a stressful thing. This is supposed to be like how I would answer your questions, or how I would work through things if you were one of my patients and you asked me a question about food. We are going to go through a first line, a first level approach, a very first skimming of the food to see if it's something that maybe we want to dive a little bit deeper in. We're not going to microanalyze it. We're not going to get stressed about it. We're just going to see if it meets the basics. And then once we determine whether or not a food meets the basics, then we can get into it a little bit deeper. And so what are the basics for me? I developed a pet food scoring system. We call it the PSS, or I call it the PSS. I totally made it up. These are the first line things that I like to be there when I'm considering a pet food. And so we're going to go through the PSS, the pet scoring system, here in this video today. There are 10 points. The closer you get to 10, theoretically, the more I am interested in a food, the more I want to go in and dig a little bit deeper. And so we're going to get points for the guaranteed analysis if all the parameters are there. That's very important to me. I want the meat. I want the bones of the food to be there. I want the nutrients to be what we need. And so that's a main focus. There's going to be 5 points there for some very important factors. Then we're going to go into the ingredient list. We're not going to take a very deep dive into that yet. We want to make sure the food, meets some of these more life altering things first. And so we're going to have 2 points there. If it's not grain free and it's not raw, we're going to award points there. Those are two things that are very important. Grain free, veterinarians are working through, a lot of veterinary scientists and nutritionists and internists and cardiologists are working through the implications that grain free diets seem to be having on heart disease. And so until that is really established and that research has been done, cardiologists are recommending that we avoid grain free. So we are going to get a point if it's not grain free, and we're going to give a point if it's not raw. The reason being is raw is not generally recommended for the general population. There may be situations where it is better for your particular pet, and that may be a conversation that you have with your personal veterinarian. But on a general level, which this channel is for in general, and we're going to say we don't want our food to be raw. And so you get a point if it's not raw on the ingredient list. You get a point if the feeding guide is correct. It's nice when you can look at the bag and they're honest, and the feeding guideline is calculated appropriately. Maybe means they know a little bit about nutrition if they know how to calculate a resting energy requirement appropriately, so they're going to get a point for that. And they're going to get a point or 2 points for the AFCO statement. There's going to be 2 parameters there that we are looking at. One is that it's the correct life stage, and the other one is, did they feeding trial this food, or did they just copycat a formula? And so that's how the pet food scoring system is going to work today. Now, the food we're going to do is Honest Kitchen. I did have a couple requests for that. Now, I go through the website just to make sure the information that we need is there, but I don't go through it. I don't go through any of the point scoring system points, and so I'm doing that with you guys today for the first time. And so I don't know how the food is going to score. I always hope they score good, and so that's what we're going to do. All right, honestkitchen.com. That's the website, so you guys can head on over there if you want to play along with me, and I hope that you do. They've got a lot of accolades here, and they're seen in Forbes, Fast Company, Bloomberg, Huffington Post. Sometimes these things are just a popularity contest, and so we want to make sure that the meat is there, no pun intended, but the bones, the good bones of the diet are there, and so that's what we're going to use with the pet food scoring system. We're not going to worry about the marketing. We're not going to get sucked in, because that's what a lot of these companies want to do. They want to visually appeal to you. They want to appeal to your heart, and they realize that pets are part of the family, and they do use that sometimes to manipulate you, maybe make you feel bad for not spending that extra money. There's nothing wrong with spending the extra money, but there's also nothing wrong with not spending the extra money if there's a perfectly acceptable food. So we're going to try to avoid some of the marketing traps, but I will point them out to you as we go along. They've got toppers, they've got treats, they've got supplements, they've got canned dog food, they've got dehydrated dog food. That's a whole separate thing, and we can go into what dehydrated and freeze-dried means. I do want to do that. I have a freeze dryer. I'm an avid freeze dryer, not a pet food, but just for my own personal family, and so one day I do hope to get into that for you if that's something that interests you. And then what we're going to focus on here is the clusters dry dog food. So let's click on that. Got a couple recipes here. Again, they've got this grain-free. We definitely want to avoid that. I'm not going to pick that because I want a food that's going to be closest to perfect as possible. So I want to set them up for success. So we're going to pick a food here that, I think is going to be a good one. Let's pick the, that looks like a good one, whole grain chicken clusters. Yeah, let's see that. Now I'm trying to see, do they differentiate between puppy and adult? Do they have a puppy line and an adult line? Let's see, life stage. Yes, they do. So they have a puppy, a less active senior, and an adult. So let's go through, we'll go through puppy and adult, and then we can see maybe what the differences are and why you want to be very specific about your life stage. So let's do that. Let's pick on a puppy. They've got whole grain chicken clusters for small breeds, grain-free chicken cluster for puppies. We're not going to pick that one because it's grain-free for small breeds. Whole grain chicken clusters for puppies. Let's check that one out, and then we'll see for adults, and we'll see how the two differ. We're here to help. Not sure where to start. We're here to help. So many human grade recipes. That right there, human grade, that is a buzzword. I will go into that with you guys as we're trying to pull out some of the marketing things. So human grade is a buzzword. Human grade is not definable. It definitely has something that you think it means in your mind, but as far as legally, pet food companies can throw around that term human grade, and it means absolutely nothing. And so actually, before we go any further, since they offer this up to us, we didn't ask, let's go to AFCO here. And you can see, and you can read this. This is afco.org. You can read through this little spiel on what human grade means as far as it pertains to pet food. And so there is no, the term has no definition in any feed animal regulations, okay? What they use in humans is the word edible. So is it edible? But the term human grade doesn't mean anything. And so extremely few food products could be considered officially human edible or human grade. A pet food that meets these standards would be extremely expensive, and while pet owners can buy what they feel is the best, they should understand that the definitions and the odds of that being the case. And so a USDA product that is fit for human consumption would be termed edible. So the word would be human edible on there. And that's a way that it's processed, that it can be consumed by humans, or consumed in a safe capacity for humans. Edible is the standard. Human grade means nothing. Human grade is not a standard. And so feel free to continue. You can read, they've actually highlighted the presence of human grade on a label implies that a product or ingredient may meet the legal recognizable edible standards. It is implying that, but is not guaranteeing that, and does not necessarily mean that. So be careful and know that we are seeing some pretty heavy marketing here on Honest Kitchen. Does not mean that it is a bad food, but it does mean that they are keyed in to that marketing aspect. And so hopefully they're just as keyed in to the nutritional aspect. Should we take the quiz? I really hate these quizzes. I'm going to take the quiz. I don't know, it's going to make me find my recipe. I really don't want to do that. We've kind of already picked the recipe. I don't like these quizzes, so I'm not going to do that and waste the camera time, battery time, because I don't want to lose my battery on doing the silly quiz. So we're just going to pick the whole grain chicken clusters for puppies. It comes in a 1, 4, and 20 pound bag. We'll get into pricing in a minute. Cool package. We got the little kibbles there. I like that. I have a small, breed dog, so it's nice when the kibbles are an appropriate size. Let's see. Let's just go down the list here. Ingredients, it's not grain-free and it's not raw, so they are going to get 2 points there. We already kind of talked about that human grade designation. We're going to be careful about, excuse me, we're going to be careful about that. Chicken, oats, barley, chicken, liver, carrots, eggs, flaxseed, broccoli. I mean, it all sounds like good stuff. Nutrition, yeah. 467 calories per cup. We're going to come back to that. It's going to be important for the feeding guide and calculating the resting energy requirement. Here they do list the protein, fat, the fiber, and the moisture. Let's view the full nutrient profile. I gotta accept the cookies, and I actually did bring a pen and a pencil paper, so I'm not going to forget where we are on the scoring today. I'm in it to win it today. Okay. Caloric distribution, that is not guaranteed analysis. We're not going to be using that. So just bypass that if you're following along. The guaranteed analysis, although it is nice to have that, we're not going to use it because it's minimums and maximums. It's not exact. So they give them quite a bit of wiggle room. So you can see if it says minimum protein 25, that means no less than 25, but it could be way in excess. And so that doesn't do us really any good. We want to know exactly what's in there. So we're going to buzz past that. The energy density, this is important to review. If you're following me along my channel, the reason being is the caloric density of the food needs to be close to 4,000 in order for it to be comparable to the standards. If it is not close to 4,000, there's a conversion that we can do, and I do have some videos on the Ollie video and I believe the Farmer's Dog video go into how you can convert that if necessary. But it is nice when a food is close to 4,000, so we don't have to do that conversion. And most of them, honestly, in a dry kibble are. So just, that's important to notate, and that is the case here. Vitamins, we have, you don't get any points for this, but just as a reference, I do have on my chart, which I'm going to pull up here, the vitamin E listed. Again, this is as-fed, so not going to do us any good here, but do know I do have an optimal vitamin E listed for you, and that's another thing I want to touch base on really quickly, and I do get comments about this or questions about this in the comment section. The parameters that I am going to share with you, the little charts that I make to share with you guys, those are from Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. Those are not AAFCO standards. Those are optimal standards as published in Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. And so they are going to differ from AAFCO standards. AAFCO standards are like, this is what you need to survive. This is what you need to live. This is not necessarily what you need to thrive. The numbers that I'm providing from Small Animal Clinical Nutrition are the optimal or the thriving levels, and so that's why I use those, and I don't just use the AAFCO standards. And so you'll see there will be some differences there, and that's the reason why. All right, so we're going to skip through as received. Okay, here it is. Guaranteed analysis on a dry matter basis. That's what we want. We want the moisture removed so that we have all these foods that can be compared, because they all have different moisture levels. So we want them all to be comparable. So we just take out that moisture, and then they're standing on their own. And so let's pull up the chart for puppy. Again, this is coming from Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. All right, so in the square box over here is the Small Animal Clinical Nutrition Standards, and then on the website you can see the Honest Kitchen, what they're offering up to us today. So protein ideally for a puppy, and this is a regular puppy, not a large breed, should be between 22 and 35%. These are percentages. Again, people have asked me what units this is. This is percentages. So this is a percentage of the food that's not a unit. You can't, I don't think that it's not listed as a unit. It's listed as a percentage. There are some things like vitamin E. There's not a list for puppy, but for vitamin E, it would be like international units. And so I do list the units where the units are applicable, but when they're percentages, the units are not applicable because it's just a percentage. And so 22 to 35, this is 28.4. So we're happy about that. They're going to get a point. So let's write this down. So we're at 2 points for the ingredient list. Now we're at 1 point there. Fat is 18.18. It needs to be between 10 and 25. Yay, we're happy about that. Fiber, Fiber is not listed in the puppy. I'm going to give them a point. Usually it just needs to be 5 or less than 5 if it's an adult. They don't really list it as a puppy. It's not as important for a puppy. So I'm going to give them a point there because it's not listed. So they're going to get a point for that. Vitamin E. Okay, so here they're telling us the vitamin E, again, you can see this is the international units. It's not listed for a puppy, and it's not something that Small Animal Clinical Nutrition felt was important enough to, have some research done on that. So we're not going to get a point there. In an adult, just so that you know, this should be like greater than like 200, 300. So 68 is a little bit of a wimpy number, but they don't get any points for that. Just wanted to point that out for you. And then there's a couple other things here, like the carnitine, the taurine. These are on minimums here. So again, it's not really useful for us either because it's only listed as a minimum. We need the calcium and phosphorus. So let's see. Oh, good. They list all the... Oh, there they are. Okay, very good. There it is. Vitamin E on a dry matter basis, 324. That actually is very good. So again, be careful. You got to find that dry matter basis. It can be confusing. So, be on the lookout for that. If it's not listed, I have some videos on how to convert to a dry matter basis. But a lot of times the companies are very receptive. If you just ask for it, they'll email it to you and you don't have to do the calculation. Calcium. Okay, 1.46. Excellent. I'm a point for that. I'm ecstatic right now. I'm just so happy when there's one that is good. That way everybody's happy. So I'm really happy about this so far. So calcium is good. Phosphorus, bam. That's 5 points on the guaranteed analysis. Yes. Yes. All right. Yay. Let's go to the life stage. It says it's puppy. What we need to verify that is the AFCO statement. So let's see if we can find that. This recipe has been formulated, so they're going to lose a point there. We got one deduction. We would have liked it to be feeding child, so they just have one little point deducted there to meet the nutritional levels established by AFCO for all life stages, including the growth of large size dogs. And so what they're saying here, they're going to lose another point for that. This is not specifically formulated for puppies. This is actually just a catch-all. They formulated this food to be a catch-all. It can be appropriate for large breed puppies. It can be appropriate for small breed puppies. They're saying it's all life stages. It could be okay for a pregnant dog. It could be okay for an adult dog. And if you are looking for the absolute best, ideally you want a food that is tailored to your pet's life stage. And so it may not be a big deal to you. In a perfect world, it would be feeding child and it would be made for the specific life stage of your pet. It's not such a big deal going from puppy because puppy is a pretty rigorous life stage and you're not feeding it for very long. But it is a big deal in the adult realm, and so we'll get into that. So they are going to lose a point there. So we're getting negative 2 points on the negative 2 points on the AFCO statement. And with this point scoring system, these are things that are just kind of important to me at a first glance, things that are easy to pick out, things that are almost always on the package. You may want to add and subtract points, for yourself. And so feel free to do that. And feel free in the comments below to tell me how you would score a food and why you would score it like that. And those are always fun, discussions to have. So, that would be awesome if you wanted to do that. The last thing that we need to look for here is the feeding guide, and there is a way to calculate the resting energy requirement, and we have some videos that I have made that show you guys how to do that, so feel free to reference those. They're listed in I think it's called Foundationals playlist, and I'll link that. I'll put that up here. You can check it out. There's a lot of other foundationals you might want to brush up on as you're going through these videos with me. And so this is really nice where they put a 1 to 6 months, this is what you're going to feed. When your puppy is between 6 to 8 months, this is what you're going to feed. And when your puppy is 8 months to an adult, which is about a year, growth plates close at 9 months, skeletal structure is, not growing anymore. It's when, after 12 months, that's when we're going to transition to adult. They have you reference this column here. And let us pull up our other chart. Okay. So on the chart, you've got weight in pounds, you've got the weight in kilograms, you've got the resting energy requirement, and then I'm going to zoom in here for you. If it's up to 4 months, you're going to do 3 times the resting energy requirement. If it's 4 months and older, you're going to do 2 times. So we're going to go to 20 pounds. Let's close all of these windows. We got a 20-pound dog here, the higher end of the range, which is 200 or 2.5 cups per day. It's 1 to 6 months. It's kind of a weird split for us here, so we're gonna do the best that we can. We said this was 400, if you remember. Rewind all the way back to the beginning. We said that this was 467 kcals per pot cup. So let's calculate that. 467 times 2.5. That is saying 1,167 calories per day. That seems like a lot at face value, but let's just 457 times, 1,167 is what they're suggesting to feed. Resting energy requirement, if you want to calculate it, you can check that video out if you want to use this chart. Resting energy requirement for a 20-pound dog is 366. If you do the 4-month multiplier, you have to multiply that by 3. 1,098, so that's pretty close. 366 times 2, if you're doing the 6 months, 732. I'm going to give them a point here, just because it's hard to overfeed a puppy. It's a little bit of a discrepancy here because it's saying 1 to 6 months, 2.5 cups, but then it's saying 6 to 8 months, 1 1/4. So 1 1/4 is probably more appropriate for the 6 month. Yeah, it's a little off. It's really not that bad. Like I said, you can't overfeed. I would say if you are feeding this food and you're not calculating like I'm calculating it and you're using the feeding guide here, and there are other multipliers. It's just one theorized multiplier here. There are other multipliers out there that you could use. I would say, yeah, that it's the months that they've kind of made it a little bit weird off. So yeah, I'm gonna give them the point for that because I really like it when foods do well, and it's pretty close. So let's count it out. 5 for the guaranteed analysis, which is absolutely superb. And to me, that just makes me ecstatic. I'm already super happy about this. So 5 on the guaranteed analysis, 6, 7. So 2 more for the ingredient list, so we're at 7. And then 1 point for the feeding guide. So that's 8. They only lost 2 for the AFCO statement. Again, that may be important to you, it may not be important to you. 8's a pretty solid number. I'm pretty happy about that. So 8's pretty solid. Now, other things people like to look at, they like to go through the ingredient list. They like to see if a company is a reputable company. They like to see if things are sustainable. There's certain aspects of those type of things that tend to be a little bit more marketing. And it's at this point when you say, okay, this food's pretty good. The bones are pretty good. It's scoring an 8. I think an 8's pretty solid. I think you're pretty good on an 8, 9, or 10. Obviously, 7's a wobbler. There are some good foods out there that are 7, but when you start getting below 7, we're starting to have a lot of deductions, and I think it's starting to eat into the guaranteed analysis at that point. So I think an 8 is pretty good to start seeing, what about this food is, maybe setting it apart from the others is a little bit impressive to us. Now, that human grade thing, again, that is a little bit of a marketing trap, so be careful with that. Some of the other call-outs that they have, no rendered meals, no artificial flavors or preservatives, no GMO ingredients, no feed grade ingredients. Again, I don't know that that's definable. I think they're throwing that out there. No feed grade bride products. There's no fillers. There's no corn. There's no wheat and no soy. Let's see what else here. They talk about transitioning. Yeah, that is important. You want to make sure that you do it over a period of time. Carrots, broccoli, vibrant foods, pumpkins, apples, probiotics, flaxseed, coconut oil. All those things are great. So, I am very happy with the puppy version. Let's see how the adult version stacks up. And we'll be able to breeze through this because we kind of already know what to look for. So, let's go here, life stage. We're going to do the whole thing. We're going to do the same, basically the same package, the whole grain chicken clusters. And then we're going to get into cost. So, what price point are we looking at? We need a different chart for adults, so we're going to pull up our adult chart here. All right, we're going to speed through the adult here. Again, 2 points because it's not grain-free or raw. Now, if you have selected a grain-free version, you are going to have to deduct that point. I don't know, there's really no reason to do that. and we can get into allergies in dogs. And actually, I am going to get into allergies in dogs because you guys want a video on Apoquel and Cytopoint. And so I need to sit down and really think about that so I can put out a quality video for you guys, because I tend to ramble when I get into dermatology, so I just really like it. Already rambling. But we can get more into that, into why feeding a dog a grain-free diet because you think it's going to treat their allergies may be counterproductive. So no reason, in my opinion, to select a grain-free diet for that reason. Let's go to the nutritional. We had to scroll through kind of like this very long list to get past the as fed to get to the dry matter. So here we are. Adult primers will be slightly different than puppy, so feel free to screen capture this, or I do have a free link to Small Animal Clinical Nutrition in the description box, so check that out, and you can read through those chapters if you want and collect some of these charts as well. Protein needs to be between 15 and 30. They're at 27, so they're going to get a point there. Calcium is a big one. We're going to get down to that in a minute. Fat between 10 and 20. Yes, point there. Fiber should be less than 5. Why is it doing a minimum on this one? This one is doing minimums and maximums, which is not my favorite. Was it like that on the puppy and I just didn't notice it? Oh, that might change things. That might change things if it was like that on the puppy. I did not realize that. Okay, I will have to contact them and put in the description box the actual numbers, because I am not happy about that. I did not notice that. Let's just keep going here for a minute. See, it can be very deceiving sometimes if you're not paying really close attention. All right, so fiber, it's saying the maximum is 5.68. That's above, so they're going to lose a point for the fiber. Vitamin E, again, we're not giving any points for that, but you can see vitamin E really should be in excess of 400. It's kind of wimpy at 152, so on that, it's like, oh, we put vitamin E in there, but it's really not that robust of a number there. Let's go to the minerals. You can see on the minerals, it doesn't say minimums or maximum. It's actually telling us what it is. So calcium is going to be over at 1.4%, so we're going to lose it on the calcium. Phosphorus, 1.04. They're going to lose it on the phosphorus. So the adult food doesn't seem to be stacking up nutritionally as great as the puppy. They're only going to get 2 points on the guaranteed analysis here. It's pretty much in the middle of the reference range, so I think we're going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be off on that. Even though it's a minimum, but I will get that information put in the description box for you if I get it if I get that information back before PERS day. All right, that was that. So they only get 2 points on the adult for the guaranteed analysis. Let's go to life stages. It says it's for adult. It says it's for less active adults. Let's see what the actual AFCO statement says here. This recipe has been formulated, so lose a point there, to meet the nutritional levels established by AFCO for adults. So they are tailoring this to an adult life stage, so they're going to get a point there. So we're up to we're up to 5 points. They can only get a 6 point for the feeding guide. So let's see what they're going to say. A 20-pound dog, 1 1/4 cups. Let's see how many calories we're going to have here per cup. 428 calories per cup. And they're saying 1 1/4. So 428 times 1 1/4. 535. That's going to be correct. So they're using the multiplier there. They're going to get a point for that. So that's going to bring them up to 6 points. And so that's a really interesting... that's really interesting about this food, and I don't know if it translates to other foods. You guys have to watch it. So for this food, I personally would feel comfortable probably feeding that to my puppy, but when it comes time to transition them over to the adult brand or the adult version, I'm not so happy because the puppy scored an 8 on what I think is really important, but the adult only scored a 6. They're losing some steam for some reason on the nutrient parameters, and I don't know why that is. That would be interesting if you guys have maybe some thoughts into your head why that might be, that they can hit the parameters for a puppy but they can't hit it for the adult. That would be interesting. So this is Honest Kitchen. We reviewed both the puppy formula, the chicken grain inclusive, and the adult grain inclusive. And when I say review, it's a loose interpretation of review. It's more like we're just kind of taking a baseline approach. We're just taking a first glance at it, and then, you know, we can dive into them, or you guys can dive into them a little bit deeper, and that's going to involve you maybe talking to your veterinarian, knowing your pet's specific maybe health parameters that are concerned to you, the availability to you. All those things are going to factor in on your second line, your second evaluation of these foods. Now let's do price, because you don't get any points for that, but this is again, this is maybe something that I would broach on like the second tier of evaluation of a food. So for the adult, a 1 pound bags is $6.99. I don't know anybody or why you would purchase 1 pound of food. That doesn't make any sense to me. The 20 pound bag is $89.99, and we went through the feeding guide so you can calculate how much that is per day to feed your pet. It's a pretty, that I think is a pretty, for me, a pretty stiff price for a food that only scores a 6 on the first, you know, the baseline approach. Let's go to the puppy, because the puppy was one that I feel pretty confident about. It was this one here, the whole grain, no, it was this one. The green bag, the puppy blend. Again, $6.99 for 1 pound. Maybe for a puppy you would get away with that for $24.99, and then $20. Wow, it's more expensive for the puppy. $94.99. Maybe it's more expensive because they've worked really hard to get those nutrient parameters correct. I don't know. But yeah, there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. I hope you appreciate this approach. If you do, leave me a comment down below. Leave me a comment on what you would like me to review next. And thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll hang out again real soon. Bye.